Welcome back. You know, I love fall for the changing leaves, the pumpkins, and apples.
Yeah. And today, Rania Harris is celebrating apple season by sharing her recipe for a fresh apple pie with a decadent caramel crunch topping.
Good morning, everybody. Here I am, still on my back porch, and oh, I'm making an apple pie today because this is apple season, and my apples actually came from a local farm market. Now, normally, I would use a Granny Smith apple when I'm making a pie, but today I'm making this with Honey Crisp apples, and I've got to tell you something. This makes all the difference in the world. You're going to have about that many apples, and I dice them. Now, once you have the apples already peeled and cut up, sprinkle them with a good 2 tablespoons or so of freshly squeezed lemon juice. That helps the apples from turning brown. I have Applejack brandy. You don't have to do this. You can do any brandy if you want to do a brandy, if you don't have the Applejack, which is also known as Calvados, but I like the flavor that it gives. And I have multicolored raisins here, and I soak them in a little hot water for just about 10 minutes to plump them up, and then I drain them, and I'm going to add my raisins in next. All right, now, as far as the dry ingredients are concerned, we have sugar, granulated sugar, brown sugar, and we also have here cornstarch. And you'll get all of these ingredients and the numbers when you download your recipe off of our website. But before you do anything, mix these ingredients together really well so that the cornstarch and the brown sugar and the granulated sugar are totally incorporated and all of the lumps from the brown sugar have been smoothed out. As far as spices, it's a teaspoon of cinnamon, which is important, a teaspoon of allspice, but only about 1/8 or 1/4 of a teaspoon at best. So be careful on this, of the nutmeg and also of the cloves. Now the cloves, really, I want you to be real careful and only do about 1/8 of a teaspoon. So here I have all of my spices, and these are called the warm spices. And then using a rubber spatula, mix all of these ingredients together until the apples are completely coated with this wonderful, oh my gosh, I wish you could smell it, flavorful mixture. And we will mix this one more time before we put this into our pie crust. Now, I've given you the recipe for the pie crust, and you can download that too. And I just want to show you, you're not baking this ahead. All you're doing is rolling it out, and I fluted my edges a little bit. You want to paint the bottom of it with an egg yolk. So not the white, just the yolk. Now, last week I made a streusel topping, as you remember, on my pumpkin bread. Same streusel topping. Flour, more brown sugar, using more spices, cinnamon, and this time a little bit of salt. Now, the butter has not been chilled. The butter is at room temperature, and this is going to take a little bit of time. So don't rush the process, but make sure that you get all of this butter totally and completely blended. All right, so I got the butter completely incorporated, and now I'm ready to assemble the pie. You can see here, this is super important. Take a look at that, the crumb mixture for the topping. In the time that it took for me to make the streusel topping for this pie, look how juicy the apples got just by sitting here combined with the sugars and the brandy. Very nice. I'm going to put this in here carefully. Look at the juice. Really nice and really important. Now remember, when the apples bake, they shrink down, so it's okay to have them heaping like this at this point. There you go. Just sort of do that. Make sure you get all that lusciousness, if that's a word, in here, including all those juices. Honest to Pete, I wish you could smell this. It's so darn good. There. All right. Crumb topping goes on next. And sort of put it in the middle, because it's easier to spread it that way than try to do it initially by going around the pie. And what happens is that the streusel topping kind of seeps into the pie itself, which is nice. Now your oven has to be preheated to 450 degrees. This is also very important. And it's going to take about 50 to 55 minutes or so until it's nice and bubbly. And I'm going to show you through the magic of television what it looks like after 55 minutes have passed. All right, how do you like that? 55 minutes just flew by, didn't it? Once the pie is cool, I'm going to gild the lily, caramel, drizzle it over the top of the pie. And I can just imagine what you're saying and what you're thinking right now. Oh my luscious goodness. Look at that pie, huh? Caramel apple streusel pie. Ah, so good. And guess what? I'm sending one down to you because I love you. Enjoy. I miss you and I love you. Bon appetit.